Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Apostate Prophet. I hope you're having a fantastic day. I am here today with my dear guest that I have been wanting to speak to for quite a while, Aron Ra. Aron, how are you doing?
It's all right. It's Aron.
Aron, okay.
I have to correct absolutely everybody about it.
That's fine. I was wondering already. So this is actually good. Okay, so Aron, that's it. Yeah. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, it's spelled like Aaron, but pronounced like registered nurse.
Wonderful. How are you doing? It's been quite a while since we talked last time, right?
It has. We are experiencing our first cold day. Of course, in Texas, It's never really very cold, but it's just, I had to put the doors and the roof back on my Jeep last week, so I'm disappointed about that. Been locked down like everybody else, but fortunately, I work from home and I work for myself, which is a good deal. The only problem with that is that it means that there will be dogs barking or cats or a parrot or something. Usually, those kinds of interruptions happen.
Oh, that's no issue. I have that too.
Yeah, and I'm a political activist, a secular activist, and a science advocate on my YouTube channel, and so I've had a lot of work lately in our current situation and administration and all of that, and with everything going on, there's a hell of a lot of anti-science and anti-secular motivation going on all the time. Like with trying to integrate church and state, trying to getting the government to promote religious schools, and promoting one religion while banning another, and so forth, as you well understand.
I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you very much. I made this. You can buy this off of evolvefish.com.
The last time that we spoke was we were together. I was having a debate with Nader Ahmed on your channel. I had a debate with him on the scientific mistakes in the Quran, and you hosted that, or you tried to host it. It was just very difficult to manage.
I had fun with it. I mean, the guy was a nut job, but I thought it was hilarious anyway.
He recently sent me an email, actually. He said, hey, I sincerely want to apologize for how I acted towards you, and I would like to have another debate on the scientific mistakes in the Quran. So I said, hey, okay, yeah, sure, why not? We could probably arrange that.
You're probably going to have to come up with a definition in advance of how one would recognize a scientific error, because his definition last time was everything the Quran says that is wrong is a miracle and not an error. So by definition, the Quran can't have any errors, but it's chock-a-block full of miracles.
Right. His explanation was, if the Quran says something and it is seemingly not in agreement with our scientific understanding of the world, then what it means is that we simply do not understand what it says, which means it is a miracle. So it is not possible for him to ever acknowledge and see that there is a mistake in the Quran, because it is either correct or a miracle. That was actually his definition precisely. I totally forgot that.
I remember there was that point that we argued endlessly about whether semen, where semen comes from in the body. Does semen originate between the backbone and ribs? And his argument, as I remember, was something along the lines of, if you were to put an X-ray machine between your legs and fire it up through your anus.
Oh my God.
From that perspective, it would be correct.
That is so ridiculous. That means my brain is between my backbones and ribs, or is that also the case? I don't know.
That would be the case, yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. What an explanation. Oh my God. Yeah. So you have been studying Islam for quite a while, right? On your channel, I think you went into this whole Quran reading thing. Why did you? How did you start? How did you get into that? And why did you get into that?
Well, there was a friend that I had in Dubai who I haven't heard from in quite a long time, and I'm actually a bit concerned about that. I've lost contact with him. So, if that person hears this, please reach out to me. He was very, very kind to fund a trip where I could stop into Dubai for about a week. And it was a very, very important event in my life to see that part of the world, because I'm a Westerner. I've barely seen Europe and Australia, so it was very good to go over there. And when I was there, he gave me a Quran, specifically the translation by Abd al-Halim that he thought would be the best one that I could read. And I attempted during that trip to write the first blog post about the Quran. And he wrote back laughingly, having read it. He said that I was so full of American prejudices, Western bigotry, that I had no idea what I was talking about, and that I should really take some time and go back and look over it after I've done some more study. And the funny thing was at the close of the trip, I go back and read it again and realize that he's right. I mean, only a couple of weeks later, I go back through and I realize that how much stupidity I had put into that. And it's a remarkable thing that I enjoy when other people point out, or when I discover prejudices that I didn't even know that I had, as often happens. I mean,
yeah.
So that was the first one or two surahs, and then later I just decided that I should dive into the whole thing. And then I was very fortunate to happen across Bogey. I wanted to do a video wherein I invite people who were raised in Islam, who therefore know the traditions, and I'll explain why in a moment, and of course who speak Arabic, because the language of the Quran is in Arabic. And a bunch of people have told me that the changing to a different language changes the feeling of the Quran so much that, I guess because so much of it rhymes and you're just used to the passion or emotion that goes into that. And I've heard people that, had tears in their eyes on listening to passages that are actually talking about menstruation or whatever, but they don't know that because they just hear a melodic tone and a passionate singing and everything. So that's how they view the Quran. But when even people raised Muslim, read the Quran in English, they're like, what is this? Suddenly it makes no sense. Suddenly it's stupid. And it's like, I've heard beautiful, beautiful songs like in Russian or whatever. And then because I was studying Russian language, I translate everything in the song. I'm like, it loses all of its charm.
Yeah.
Somehow when you know what it's actually saying, but what it's actually saying is stupid. And to be honest, the same thing happens with English songs too. I mean, all of the great pop songs, if you write down their lyrics, you think that these are brilliant people with the way that they're putting thoughts to poetry, but then when you realize what they're actually saying is actually kind of dumb.
I had the same experience. I mean, I lived in Turkey for a decade or so, and Turkish people are very bad English speakers. They hardly understand any English, and English music, American music, is quite popular there. And I often observed how the average person is in love with regular English songs and pop songs, and try to sing, and romantically listen to songs which actually sound very ridiculous, and which they would morally very much disagree with. And sometimes it is a painful thing to do, but sometimes I would even say, hey, do you know what you're listening to? It says this and this and this, and they're like, really? What the hell?
Yeah, I've seen so many examples of that. So what I wanted to do with reading the Quran is, I realized that if I was raised in Pakistan and had never heard of Christianity, then if I were just to get a hold of a Bible, and I'd never met a Christian in my life, if I'd never watched Christian apologetics or whatever, I just get a Bible and I read it, I would never have the idea that Satan was supposed to be the serpent in the garden, because the Bible does not say that. And not only does it not say that, it doesn't even allow that could be the case. Because, the first time Satan is mentioned by name, he's walking and he's still pals with God. They've never had a falling out. So how can that be the same character that God just cursed to crawl in his belly all the rest of his days? Mm-hmm. And then if you go to Revelations and say, where it says that old serpent, it's talking about Satan, well, it says Satan who's standing on the beach and has 7 heads. Clearly, just standing is not crawling on your belly, and he has 7 heads, which I think would be a detail that the Genesis should have mentioned if the serpent in Genesis was Satan. So there are traditions where people read between the lines, or then they don't read the lines. They just interject their own interpretations in this. I mean, if you go back to the Middle Ages or the Renaissance, If you look at the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, or if you look at the entrance to Notre Dame Cathedral, you'll see that, or any of the great masters, I mean, all the Ninja Turtles, Leonardo and Raphael and all of those, you'll see that in all these paintings, the serpent in the garden, in any depiction of the temptation of Eve, the serpent is always a woman, because the tradition has changed. It was originally a female character. It was originally supposed to be the Lilith character, but now the modern traditional interpretation is that the serpent is supposed to be Satan. You would never know that if you just pick up a Bible and read it. So I know that if I were to pick up the Quran and just try to read it, none of it would make any sense. And indeed, that is the case. I read Abdel Halim's translation, which my friend gave me. And I found a version of it online so I could just copy the text easily. But I've noticed that when I compare that to Clear Quran or Islamic Lessons, or I can't remember what the other website was, or there's a Quran.com, there's a number of them that I can compare. And very often the interpretations are quite different. And sometimes I've had to read up to 6 translations to get the idea of what is this paragraph trying to say.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's going to be these interpretations of it. There's a traditional understanding of it. So I need someone raised in Islam to tell me what the traditional interpretation is, because I would never guess, if they didn't tell me. I mean, there's a place in the Quran where it's talking about literally shoulder angels, that you have a good angel and a bad angel. So that's where that idea came from. I didn't know where it came from, but apparently it comes from Islam. And I had to get people raised in Islam tell me, no, this is what Muslims literally believe. They believe it's literally true that we have invisible angels on our shoulders. You gotta be kidding me. And then, of course, just understanding the Arabic, when I run into a situation where I have 6 different translations and I'm trying to understand this, now I have to have a bunch of Arabic speakers explain, what does this mean? Because it's not making any sense. So it's been very helpful that I got a panel. And unfortunately, they're all apostates. They're all former Muslims. But I guess that's the only way I'm going to get a straight answer at the same time.
It's actually a very good approach. It is a good approach. It's a good idea to include people who actually grew up with those ideas, with that tradition. As you said, I mean, even if you are educated in reading texts and you understand theological texts, you understand scripture, it may be much harder for a Western person who has no background in Islam to grasp what the text actually says. You may have a much more rigid reading and understanding of what the text actually tries to say, whereas people who grew up in the Muslim culture are more were part of this tradition and can therefore better understand what specific phrases refer to, what they mean, what specific teachings are in reference to in the Quran. So that is definitely, yeah.
So then I've been told, other believers have told me that the part of my problem with the understanding is that I also need to consult tafsirs, which I do. Not all the time, but whenever there's any kind of potential discrepancy, I'll check to see if the other translations or tafsirs. And then somebody says I need to check the hadiths. Well, that's not possible.
It's
okay. So I'm thinking the hadiths at first is like a compilation of corrections to the ever clear Quran, because the Quran constantly says how clear it is. It's so bleeding clear that nobody understands a word of it. It's so clear that we have to have literally innumerable corrections made by humans.
Absolutely.
This is what God meant to say, and so I asked somebody, how many hadiths are there? And now we don't know that either. There's either thousands or hundreds of thousands, but there may only be tens of thousands. But in any case, you need to read the if somebody tells you that you need to read the hadiths in order to understand the Quran, then nobody can understand the Quran, because it's not possible to read all the hadiths. It's not possible because it's not possible to know how many hadiths there are.
Yeah. But the world of hadith, I mean, for people to be more familiar with this idea, I mean, the Quran is one thing. You can sit down and read the Quran in a few days. You can read it through. You can sit down and read it again. It's quite simple. There's this one book from beginning to end. You can read it. You can understand it. But if you go into the hadith, there are if you follow Sunni Islam, there are these 6 major hadith books, and those books are full of thousands of different hadith, but only 2 of those books are believed to have only reliable, only authentic hadith. All the others also include hadith that are questionable, good, unreliable, and fabricated. Whereas you later also, if you dive deeper into it, you also learn that the first 2 major hadith books, which are supposed to be entirely authentic, they also include several hadith that are a little bit questionable in their revelation because they were only transmitted by 1 person or 2 people. And you go through that, and you cannot even read those hadith within a brief time. That's a lifetime of studying texts and figuring out what you can and cannot believe in. And on top of that, you are then also supposed to go ahead and read these scholarly exegesis from over 1,000 years that are also based partially on hadith, which people do not know are entirely accurate or not. So it is a giant mess. You don't know what to trust. You don't know what to study. And the general idea is that you do have to look at the hadith, and you do have to look at the tafsirs in order to truly understand Islam. But all the while, the Quran says over and over again, this is a clear book. Everything has been said here. Just read this book.
Yeah, and you have so many surahs that begin with a handful of initials that nobody knows what the initials are from. And it's supposed to all have been, dictation, where God can't ever talk directly to everybody on the planet. Instead, he has to give everything to his secretary angel, who then comes down to find some lone weirdo. It's always got to be some lone, unbelievable weirdo that he then has to cast into the populace, and everybody in the populace says, but you're just a man. Show us that you have something. Well, no, you just have to believe. And so in the Quran, God complains again and again and again that I keep sending messages to lone random weirdos in the desert who nobody believes. And then I have to destroy all those people and send another lone weirdo who nobody believes. You would think that God would at least, being infallible, meaning that he should at least be able to learn from his own mistakes.
Yeah.
And then God says he sends all of these prior people, right? Except that he sent prior people who established other religions. So how could they have been his messengers? How could he say that, how they've been corrupted? They established Judaism, and now Muslims and Jews are at war with each other, like always have been, right? And then Christianity cropped up, and now we've got a third triad of people perpetually at war with each other, each since their inception, all worshiping the same God of love and peace. I see a small flaw there.
It makes you think, right? The Quran says that Allah revealed these books to these to these prophets, and people didn't believe in them, and people corrupted Allah's text, or people corrupted Allah's message, and they went astray. And the Quran also says that this book is the truth, and this book will be protected for all time. But if you are not to trust those old books, which also claim to be completely authentic and reliable and from a divine source, then how can you trust this book just because it says that it can be trusted? But if we are to believe that we cannot trust those old books because they have been corrupted, could it not be that this new book has also been corrupted when it was revealed, and it only claims that it is perfect and that it is not possible to corrupt it?
Well, I haven't read the full Quran, and earlier on I would have thought that it would be inappropriate to have me on a show like this to talk about the Quran if I haven't read the whole book yet, because I'm over halfway through it. But every surah says the same thing over and over again. So here's my synopsis, or my summary of what the Quran is. All of the old Jewish stories in the Old Testament really happened, but the Jews were really Muslims. Abraham was Muslim, Moses was Muslim. All of those people were actually secretly Muslim. Nobody knew. And Jesus, let's get to the New Testament. Jesus was Muslim too. Yeah. Oh, and Jesus never gave up his life, never sacrificed on the cross, never dead. He's still alive somewhere. He's still alive, healing people. But if you go to him and you go to him for seeking the truth of God, he will refer you to Muhammad, because Jesus is just Jesus. He's not the final prophet that Muhammad was. So, and this admittedly is not directly from the Quran. This is from peripheral folklore. But anyway, because I did a reading around the Islamic traditions too. So in summary, the Bible is believers are going to go to hell. Unbelievers are going to go to hell, period. And you're going to be terribly tortured. And every time you're thirsty in hell from being burned alive, you get thirsty. You're going to drink boiling water, and you're going to eat molten lava because you're hungry in hell. And the only thing you can eat is lava. So all you can do is feel pain forever and ever and ever. And it's so obviously from the child, the mindset of the child, we have this ultimate dichotomy of eternal bliss and eternal torment, right? But then the eternal bliss, they've kind of fallen short on the eternal bliss, because over and over again, the Quran describes heaven as a hotel lobby. You're basically in a castle of sorts, right? You got fortifications, because there are devils, not devils, because that would, they're genies, right? You got genie spies who are trying to go to the highest level of heaven, because we've got to remember that over and over again, the Quran describes the earth as a basically, and because the Bible does too, because all of these religions back, all across Asia once upon a time had the belief that the world was basically on a round table like a stool, and you put a map over it. And in the Quran it says over and over again that you put a map on the table, and then you put mountains on the map to be used basically as paperweights, and then you put a giant crystal dome over that. That's your firmament, and the sun and the moon are the same size as each other, and somehow or other the moon is stuck in the nighttime, and the sun, of course, is stuck in the daytime. Not the source of the daytime, stuck in the daytime, so that it says that the sun and the moon can never overtake each other, except on the day that happens. That'll be the day of resurrection, when the sun and the moon combine. And it doesn't matter how many eclipses we've had since then, we're just going to ignore all of that. And then the sun sets in a muddy puddle, because the sun and the moon are both the same size. They're both lights. It's just the moon is a dimmer light, and the stars are not like the sun. The sun is not a star, and the stars are all tiny little small things. They're lamps, in other words. So the stars are actually lamps, and in the lower level of heaven, they're used as weapons, because when these spy genies try to get close to the God, because they want to listen in on the secrets of God, there are angels who literally shoot stars at them. But then I'm getting off track, because we're in the fortress of heaven, and basically that's Hotel California, because you have people who you can never ever leave. You can check out any time you want, but you're stuck here for forever and ever and ever. It describes you sitting on sofas facing each other. Just think about that. You're sitting on sofas facing each other. Just everybody who's a believer is sitting on sofas facing each other forever. And for whatever reason, you still have to drink, but they bring you, there are perpetual children. There are these little slaves, cherubs, I guess. There's these children who never age and who have no existence. Not only do they not have free will, they don't have souls. They're robots. There are these children who bring you non-alcoholic beverages, because that's what heaven is. You have to sit on a sofa in a hotel lobby drinking Fanta. And then you can have the meat of any bird that you like, because you still have to kill animals to eat their flesh in heaven. But then we get into the sex stuff. And this is where it seems like Islam was devised by and for incels, people who are involuntarily celibate. Because it says over and over again that they have created soulless, thoughtless sex robots. That you get to go to heaven, and you can have your wife or your wives, but then they have to sit and watch you have turns between them and your sex robots, who are appealing to the eye, but modest enough that they won't look at anybody else but you, and they only look at you with their head turned down, because they're supposed to honor you because you're the man, and having male genitalia means that you own all the power. Yeah. And so you have these robots, women who exist only to please you. And they are virgins. They don't say 72 virgins, and it's not what most people think of as virgins, because for whatever reason they have to be the same age as you, which is really wonderful. Because I'm 58, and if I were to die now, I would be given a handful of 58-year-old women who've never had sex before.
I think the idea is that you also get down to a certain age, and then they are all at the same age with each other, at a beautiful age, fruitful age, and are all servants of you, who are also all at the same age.
So are we all going to be like? Are we all going to be 25 years old? Is this going to be like the endless rave heaven?
I don't exactly remember the numbers, but for some reason I remember being told that we would be like around 30 or 40 or something like that. I don't know.
Well, we have different perspectives. I mean, when I was a teenager, and I'm trying to imagine being 30, that was old, right? And I remember when I was 30, I was being carded for cigarettes because people thought I was still in high school. I was fortunate enough to look really young. But now I'm in my late 50s, and I'm actually enjoying life more now than I did. Go figure that.
Well, the issue is that Allah knows best. So he knows best what is best for you, what age is best for you. So you don't really have to bother.
So we're all going to be different ages then.
I don't know if I think we're all supposed to be the same age with each other, and the virgins are supposed to be the same age with each other, and look very good.
Robots.
Yeah.
And we still have perpetual children serving non-alcoholic.
We will be sitting on these thrones facing each other, and those thrones will be lined up. We will be facing each other, and those little kids that look beautiful and don't age will bring us cups of wine. Wine which does not make us drunk, by the way, which does not intoxicate us. And
so grape juice.
Yeah. And these virgins which Allah made specifically for us, these mindless servants, will be there sitting on our laps, and their skin will be so bright, and so it will almost be transparent, so that we can see like their bones under their skin. You know, they will have good desirable breasts and all that. So that is heaven. Yeah.
So nothing the Quran says about the earth in relation to the rest of the cosmos is correct at all. I mean, just nothing whatsoever. And whatever mere fallible man wrote this book clearly had no understanding of what the cosmos was really like. I mean, everybody wants to say, well, you know, the space is expanding according to scientists, so that means where it says that he stretched out the heavens. No, because that comes from an old story about Mithras, where the god Mithras had the stars sewn into his cloak, and he would lay his cloak over the firmament, that big crystal dome, and he would stretch out the heavens over the dome like a tent. That's where that idea came from. And as far as stretching out the earth, it does say that he stretched out the earth, that he laid the earth out, right, and flattened it out, and then put mountains on it as paperweights. And then he drew routes and courses and laid down and put the rivers on. He's painting a map of the earth, and then he puts his little characters on it. And then worse than that, there's another surah where it talks about how he plays both sides, and we are but toys to him. He decides who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. He's decided that I'm going to believe or not believe. He decided that I'm going to have my eyes closed, my ears closed to his truth. And then he's going to punish me for not believing.
That's a good detail. The Quran actually does say that Allah has determined, it says repeatedly and on so many occasions, that he decides who goes astray, or he makes people go astray, and he leads people to the right path. And it repeatedly says, for example, it speaks to Muhammad, it addresses Muhammad, and it says, do not think that you can correct them and put them on a straight path. It only happens if Allah wants it, if Allah wants to do that. And Allah has created certain people for heaven, and he puts them on a straight path, and he puts certain people astray. If Allah puts certain people astray, then nobody else in the world can possibly come and fix them. They will go astray. And Allah has created those people specifically for hellfire. It explicitly says that. But at the same time, he also wants to punish us for going astray, and wants to reward us for being on the true path.
The thing that constantly bites me about reading the Quran is that how could anybody believe this? If you believe the empty, unsubstantiated nonsense that I'm selling you, and give me your tithe, and give me your political power, and by the way, give me your women as well, then you will have a posthumous paradise where you can have any bird you want, and you can have sex robots, and you can live in a lovely lobby and gardens, and you'll always have nice water, milk, and honey, all that nonsense, which we wouldn't have after death. If you're thinking on an ascending level, there wouldn't be any mention of drink or food or sex. There would be loftier goals where you could achieve something, but nobody's achieving anything sitting in a lobby on a sofa, staring at the guy across from you forever. That's not going to happen. The thing is it's so clearly false on its face. I have to tell you sincerely, the Quran is the only book I've ever read that is so bad, so dumb, that it actually makes the Bible look good.
I have to say, I read good parts of the Bible. I read the Old Testament first. No, I mean, that's a language issue. I mean, a good portion of the Bible. I started with the Old Testament. I started reading the Genesis first. I started there, and I was kind of confused by how old it sounded. And then I read the New Testament, which sounded much more, much more easier to get used to. But what I found so surprising about it is about this whole experience of reading the Bible. I read the Bible only after I started questioning Islam, and after I read the Quran several times. And my experience with the Quran, as you have had to learn, was that it is a book which is poorly organized. It has no beginning and no end. It is not divided into actual chapters, into actual themes. It is all over the place. It jumps from unrelated theme to unrelated theme. And it just goes like that. And you start at a random point and finish at a random point, and you have no idea what you just read. Whereas with the Bible, you actually go through an organized book. It has a beginning, it has an end, it has a narrative, it has different themes, different literary styles, and all that. The Quran has none of that. But we are to believe that these books came from the same source, were inspired by the same guy, and it just is not.
Some of it is in prose, and some of it is in poetry.
Why does it try to desperately rhyme, like rhymes that don't make any sense at all, that are just there as fillers? That is bad poetry.
So when I started reading the Quran, of course, I did the first posts about it were chapter 1 and chapter 2, which chapter 1 is like one of the shortest chapters, and chapter 2 is the longest chapter. Why is it like that? But then they decided after that, let's put all the long chapters in the beginning and all the short chapters at the end. And it doesn't matter what the chronological order is, because now I've been told that the better way to read the Quran is in chronological order, because there's a chronological order and it's not the order it's in. So suddenly reading the Quran is like watching a Quentin Tarantino movie, where you could take everything and juxtapose it, move everything around. And now you can read it in order, except that when I put it in the order of Revelation, it still doesn't make any sense. There are still things that it says in this chapter that it's already covered in that chapter, but it doesn't realize this in this chapter. And there are things that it says in this chapter that you would have to know somewhere that it doesn't get explained until this other chapter later on. So no part of it makes any sense.
It says in the middle of the book, where is that? It says in chapter 5, I believe, at the beginnings of the book, it says, today I have completed your religion. Like, today I have basically gone through this. I've completed it. And it says that at the very beginnings, in one of the first chapters of the book, and it makes you think, why the hell do you say that here? Why the hell is that here? The only thing that makes sense to me is that when you start reading chapter 2, which is the first actual chapter, because chapter 1 is just a prayer. When you start reading chapter 2, it starts with, this is a book about which there is no doubt. And you think, okay, that's a beginning. I guess that is the beginning. That is supposed to be the beginning of this book. But then you start reading into it, and it's just it says things on the way like read, which is chronologically the first chapter, which comes much later. Then it says it's at some point in the middle of it, today I have completed your religion. At the end, it is just full of some weird orders to say certain things to the people that do not belong in any context, in any order at all. So it is all over the place. The funniest thing is with chapter 9, for example, I'm always stuck at chapter 9. Chapter 9 is a very distinct Quran chapter because that is the only chapter which does not start with the normal beginning, which is in the name of Allah, the most merciful, whatever. It doesn't start with that. It only starts directly into the chapter. And that is because it starts with a warning against people of the time, against the polytheists, and because the Muslims who organized the Quran did not actually know where to put that chapter. Because Muhammad didn't tell them what to do with it. He revealed it, and after a while he died. And as Muhammad's successors and helpers were compiling the Quran, they thought, so the Holy Prophet did not tell us what to do with this chapter. What should we do with it? So they thought, let's just put it here. Let's just make this chapter 9. And now it's chapter 9, and no one knows why it's there.
So when I look up the order of revelation, the original list that I normally cite is apparently offline now, and there's not even a cached version of it.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just wondering, why did that suddenly go offline? But I found another version while you were talking, and it says here that the first surah is actually surah number 96.
96, yeah.
So why would that be? But but even if you get to the first surah in the order of revelation, all it says is that it admits that we're still writing this, that this is the first surah, that we're just starting to write this, and you had better believe all of the Quran that we have given you. But you haven't given us a Quran yet.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first surah. We don't know what we're supposed to believe, but we know we're supposed to believe it. And that's all.
I have these three thought projects often in my mind, which I want to ask people, which I want to ask Muslims or others who are interested in Islam. One of them is, I want to ask that to you. If you didn't know anything about the world, if you didn't know what the world looks like, if you didn't know anything about science, anything about the natural world at all, and you come into this world, you wake up in this dark room, and the first thing that you are given is the Quran, and you read the Quran through, how would you imagine the natural world? What would you think the earth looks like? What would you think the world looks like? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen interviews, a couple of them, and I included them in one of the most recent posts. I think the most recent post that I just did in my series, where they're interviewing a couple of Muslims who insist that the world is flat because the Quran says so. And one of these guys even said that if you went up in an airplane, if you're going to fly to China, you go up in an airplane, then shouldn't you just go up and China would come to you? I'm bewildered at the stupidity of people, not just Muslim people, just people. I'm bewildered at the stupidity of people. If 2020 has taught me anything, is that we have lost the right to call our species man the wise.
I would still think we are quite intelligent. I just think we are very easily misled. We are extremely gullible. And you see that if you are indoctrinated by this thing. I mean, you have to really you have to grow up as a Muslim. Of course, there are different groups in the world that are comparable to this, and there are even groups that receive a worse form of indoctrination. I have listened to groups from secluded sects and groups of different religions or new religions. But if you grow up as a Muslim, you are not subject to the same education that definitely not that a Jew receives, and not that a Christian receives, but you are given this thing. I mean, you don't learn the Quran. You don't go to a place where you are given a Quran study. You are never actually made to study the Quran and to understand it. All you are told from the very beginning, while most Muslims never ever read the Quran entirely or mostly, is that this book is nothing but the truth, that you are to believe in it, that you are not to doubt it, that you are not to read those other books, that the world is out there to deceive you, that it is the world against you, that you should never trust those others, that no matter how kind they are to you, they want to trick you and change you. And you get this punched into your head and drilled into your head again and again and again and again. So when you reach a certain age and you start hearing stuff about the Quran, no matter how ridiculous it sounds, you are already indoctrinated with this idea that everything it says is undoubtedly true, and the world is out there to deceive you. Now, how are you to
illustrate what you're saying? When I'm reading the Quran and it mentions genies, I think, wait, full stop. You guys believe there are genies? And then the rationalization or the justification of believing in genies is that genies are just devils. And then we in the West would say, oh, a genie is a devil. Okay, well, fine. Well, devils are perfectly reasonable to believe in. So, so the genie is ridiculous and the devil is not.
It's not even true, though. The genies, the jinns, are not just a devil, so they cannot just be explained away as evil creatures that are, spiritual and whatever it is. Islam actually teaches, especially if you look into the Hadith, it gets even clearer. But the Quran is already kind of clear about this. They are creatures made of fire, and they exist together among us, with us, in a parallel world. They are like humans. They are born and live like humans. They build civilizations. They travel. They believe and disbelieve. They have prophets. Prophets communicate with them, and they go around. They come at night, and I recently made a video about this. Muhammad even says in a hadith that they, at a specific time at night, jinns go outside and may take away your belongings and your children. So this is stuff that Islam actually teaches and that people actually believe in. It may be unbelievable to you, but it is a common narrative among mainstream Muslims that you should be careful at night, you should be careful at wet places, dark places, dirty places, and so on, because jinns may roam those places and they may appear to you, they may assault you, harass you, they may sexually assault women and try to harass them, try to marry them or take sexual advantage of them, and so on. So these are things that you actually believe in. And when I think back, I'm like, what the hell, man?
So I have my best friend in high school. It's funny how we can start off in the same place and go different directions. My best friend in high school became an ordained minister, a Southern Baptist minister, who believed in the young earth creation. And he is more or less admitted to me that he knows it's make-believe, but he's going to make believe. He wants to believe this. It does not matter what the truth is. Many people have admitted to me that they don't care what the truth is. They want to believe what they want to believe. And so he subscribes to a couple of different dishonest practices, one of them being fake it till you make it. Keep lying to yourself until you believe it. He'd actually expressed it to me that way. Just keep telling yourself it's Jesus until you believe it. And fake it till you make it. He's used both of those phrases. But then he was teaching in a school. He ran a school. He was a principal of a high school that taught that the Bible is the only source of truth in our world. Let everything else be a lie. So reality is the lie, and the lie is the fairy tale that you're supposed to believe. You're supposed to believe the fairy tale over everything else. So that's a Christian aspect, and then we take a whole lot of other people that also believe in fake news. So whatever is real is fake, and we only listen to QAnon. So whatever is fake is real. So again, there's no connection. What is real and what is not, and why does it matter? Because people don't care anymore what is true and what isn't. And I've had people admit to me that they know that what they believe isn't true, but they're going to believe it anyway.
Yeah, It is something that I was recently thinking about. I was thinking about. I don't want to get into politics at all. I just want to give an example. I thought there is this constant approach to politics and also in religious debates that people constantly believe that the other side that there is some genius mastermind behind the other side, the opposite side, that tries to trick you, that makes up lies in order to deceive the public. But that is not really the case. What is really happening is that the other side is just as stupid as you are, and people just believe in things that they want to believe in, and they just keep pushing those narratives, and they don't know about the opposite side as much as they are supposed to know, as much as they think they know. So they simply they don't fact check the things that they should fact check before they make their assertions. People simply find comfort in a certain position where they feel like, oh, okay, this is my side, this is my crew, this is my crib, and these are my beliefs. And their beliefs, those people, they are wrong. They are, of course, bad. They are, of course, immoral, terrible, awful. I will never believe what they say, and they try to deceive us. This is how people generally think. This is how societies, how humans generally act. I guess it's kind of a modern version of old, ancient tribalistic behavior, of prehistoric tribalistic behavior.
I was recently accused of promoting tribalism by dividing atheism and theism as, do you believe in a God, yes or no? If yes, theist, no, atheist, because that's what it is. That's the actual division. And some people and it's always people who fancy themselves to be philosophers, who tell me that that's wrong. They say that that's divisive. And I'm really not. I mean, I'm very sensitive to and aware of tribalism. I mean, I was raised in a very insular community where I was told that ours is the best last name. Not kidding. That ours is the best family. Ours is the best high school. Ours is the. If you went to summer camp, right, you're taught to teach that you're taught to sing these songs. You know, we're camp number 14. You know, we're better than everybody else. And camp number 7 has the same song. So we have tribalism embedded in us. You know, we're the best state. We're the best country. Ours is the best religion. Just because it's ours. Yeah. Right? And that's it.
That's it.
And
that's all it is.
I remember getting an argument with my family about this. You know, America's the best damn country there is, and I don't need to know about nowhere else. And when my dad said that to me, that was an admission that he knows that, one, he has to be ignorant in order to hold that position. Mm-hmm. Right? Because he doesn't want to know about other countries. He doesn't want to know that they're better than us. Nobody's better than us at all things. But most places are better than us at some things, you know, and that's the way we have to look at it. I'm always arguing against the dichotomous views. Yes, I divide atheism versus theism. Do you believe or do you not? Yes or no. Simple, hardcore answer. There is no middle ground there. But that's not promoting tribalism, and that's not being divisive. Actually, the other position is more divisive. Where, you know, if you've never heard of a God, well, then you're an innocent, and you're not an atheist, you're an innocent. Or if you can't believe in God because it's not defined, you're not an atheist, you're an atheist. Mm-hmm. You know, other kind of divisions like that. I mean, there's no reason to come up with all of these subcategories. Do you believe? Do you not? When you go to St. Peter, if there was a St. Peter at the Holy Gates, you know, the pearly gates or whatever, the core, and it's just true in Islam as it is in Christianity. Did you believe? Sorry, the agnostics are going to go to hell with the atheists. So it doesn't matter how lofty and superior you want to pretend you are. It's yes or no. Did you believe in God? Yes. Theist? Okay, now you can be forgiven. If you didn't, no, you cannot be forgiven. That's the one sin that cannot be forgiven. You didn't believe. So whatever subcategory, atheist, non-theist, humanist, whatever you want to call yourself, you didn't believe in God, gone.
I see it this way. There is only the atheist and the theist. Objectively, you can only divide it between these two groups. This is what you are. If you believe, you are a theist. If you don't believe, you are an atheist. Now, beyond this surface, which is the objective view, which is how objective things, which is how it is objectively, there is, of course, the self-identification. You can now then argue, if someone asks you whether you believe in God or not, you can say, I don't know. I'm an agnostic. I'm not sure. But you are, by definition, still an atheist. Yes, you are agnostic about whether God exists or not, whether you believe or not, but you are still, by definition, an atheist.
Yeah, I want to be clear that I'm not forcing people into their admission.
Okay.
If you like Neil deGrasse Tyson admits that the word atheist applies to him, that technically that definition is correct, but he doesn't want to identify as an atheist. Fine.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that, because I acknowledge that I am defined as a Libra. Now, astrology has absolutely no importance to me at all. So I mean, I don't tell people I'm a Libra.
Yeah. That's actually a good point.
Yeah, but it's important to know, when you have common goals and common enemies. And one of the problems that I see, and this is like on both sides of most spectrums, like the political spectrum and what have you, is you have this thing called purity or purism, where people will agree with one person until they realize that there's a thing they don't agree with. And also, I used to like everything you said until you said the one thing you disagree with, and now I have to campaign against everything you ever do for the rest of your life. No, I'm not like that. Nobody agrees with anybody on everything. So when I find somebody that has on a particular issue common goals and common enemies, somebody who will be an ally to me on this thing, I will side with that person. So there's a lot of people that on the religious perspective, we agree, and on the political perspective, we don't talk about that. If I'm trying to get something done and I need allies, I'm going to find people who agree with me on that point, and accept that nobody's going to agree with me on everything. And on some very, very rare occasions, it might be me the one that's wrong, and not
could always be.
them.
Could always be.
Or most of the time, of course, it will be that.
Yeah, I would always. I had a problem a while ago with being called an atheist, or with identifying myself as an atheist, because I felt like I'm associating with a certain attitude. But with time, I guess I learned that, or I began to accept, hey, I am an atheist. I am by definition an atheist. I don't believe in God. Do I use atheism to actively, positively preach atheism? No, I don't. I don't really care. But am I an atheist? Undeniably, yes. Whether I want it or not, I am an atheist. So that is the case. I want to go into some super chats quickly, and then I want to get back to some Islamic topics with you before we go on.
Sure.
Is that okay with you?
I must have been rambling. My apologies.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I like talking. Oh, we have so many new members. What is going on? Rick Remington became a member of the channel and thereby became a prophet. If you join the channel as a member, you are called a prophet. That's how easy it is to become a prophet. You pay $5 and you are a prophet. You don't have to go through all the marrying children, having an empire, killing people, beheading people, and stuff like that. You don't have to do that here. Just $5.
Brilliant.
So Rick Remington became a member. Thank you. Welcome, Rick Remington. Jagdish Adu Sumali became a member. Sunish Jacob and Ang Hui Ling became a member. And Semi Gupta also became a member. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it, and welcome. We will share more stuff. Ultra Funky made a super chat of £2 and said, "Find me Valley Vision G Block Wave Station." Find me at Valley Vision G Block Wave Station. I guess that's some sort of self-promotion going on here. Ultra Funky made the same super chat again. Find me at Valley Vision G Block Wave Station. Okay, I appreciate it. Hindu Historian made a super chat, as always. Hindu Historian, thank you, of $5 Canadian and said, "The Quran is the least profound, sophisticated, and deep of any major world religion's central texts." I entirely agree with that.
And I have to agree with that too.
I'm glad we can agree on that.
I got more substance out of the Avestas of Zarathustra, especially when you consider how old they are. That is better than the Bhagavad Gita, which itself is better than the Quran. I can't actually say that any of those are better than the Bible, which is weird because I hate the Bible. The Bible's empty too, but it's better than the others I just described. Only probably because it's newer than the Avestas of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. Flavio Ferrari Zumbini made a super sticker of 10 euros and said, #1 fan. Thank you so much, Flavio. I appreciate it. Anirban Ghosh made a super chat of $5 and said, AP thinks Christianity is the best religion out there. He thinks Christianity led to civilized, advanced society. Would love to see Aron and AP discuss. Man, that is probably a discussion for a different time. If we want to discuss that. My position is not that Christianity led to civilized, advanced society. My position is that Christianity... It was easier for the West to go toward a civilized, advanced society because the West had Christianity as opposed to, for example, Islam. If it was Islam in place, it wouldn't have happened in the same at the same time, in the same way, as freely. And it was by no means easy for the West to get here. That's my position, but we can discuss about that lengthily, Aron, if you ever want to.
I don't think we have that much to discuss. We need to find somebody who disagrees.
Oh, yeah?
I think that Christianity just got the luck of the draw in that, Gutenberg invented the printing press, happened to be Christian. And that's why, the Bible was the first book printed. That's why that's why it was on the bestseller list for so long. Had Gutenberg been born in Arabia, whole different story.
Turkenstein made a super chat and said, did Muhammad consummate his marriage with his 9-year-old bride for the purpose of trying to make children? We don't actually have any information on that at all, on why he did that at that age. We simply know that he married her when she was 6. Yes, Muhammad married her when he was in his 50s and she was 6 years old. And he consummated his marriage, meaning he had sexual intercourse with a 9-year-old child when she was 9-year-old and when he was 53 or 55.
Yeah, because you couldn't do it when she's 6. I mean, let's not be disgusting.
It's an awful thing to laugh about, but it is just shocking. It's just, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and it's just one of the many whys, because the purpose is, mathematically it works out. You can have one guy and 12 women, and you can keep 11 of them pregnant at any given time. So that makes sense. When you have high infant mortality, and when you live without like bricks, and when you live among lions, it's a good idea to have a lot of women who can crank out a lot of kids, especially when you need cheap labor.
Funny thing is, people keep bringing up sometimes that women or men used to die too soon, which is why it was beneficial to marry as many women and also a young woman as possible. I agree, the mortality rate was much higher. In that sense, it makes sense. But Aisha reached the age of 67, according to the historical understanding, when she died. So when Aisha died, she was 67 years old. And Muhammad married her when she was 6. So that's a wide range.
Yeah, there are people in history who did reach extreme ages. Like there was a guy during the Salem witch trials who they killed him when he was in his 80s. They killed him for witchcraft, and he's in his 80s. Now think about it. You've never been to a doctor that would qualify to be a doctor in the modern day, right? And nobody understood about medicine. Nobody knew what a virus was, right? No, literally, they didn't know what a virus was. So what was medicine, in the 1600s or the 1700s? And so you did have people that were living that long. Amazingly, I wouldn't have been one of them. I think I have really good genes and everything. But honestly, if I'd been born 200 years earlier, there are 3 or 4 different events that would have killed me. Whether it was tetanus or whether it was a tooth infection or whether it was I know a lot of other people that were born with like congenital deformities, like a hernia that in a baby that had to have surgery in order to correct. That's a baby that wouldn't be alive having more babies today. So very different world back then. And so I can understand why one guy would have a whole bunch of wives, because everything kills you and nobody knows how to make anything any better. Yeah. But that means that the Bible and the Quran and all that are not timeless. And another thing they don't have, any of the religious books, none of them have any actual wisdom. Period. They don't ever God knows everything, but he won't tell you anything that would be important to know.
You cannot get any wisdom that people didn't have back in the day. That it didn't tell us anything. Those books didn't tell us anything in the last 2,000 years that comes exclusively from them. But to the topic of since we're talking about this, about timelessness and being appropriate to the time, when we talk about Muhammad marrying a child, I think it is a disgusting thing that Muhammad did marry a child. It is disgusting that Muhammad had slaves. It is disgusting that he had sex slaves. But what needs to be said is that I, for example, and I think this is a reasonable position if we look at history, I don't blame or hate or am disgusted by Muhammad because he had a child bride, or because he had slaves, or because he had sex slaves. What I am disgusted with is the claim that Islam is the timeless religion which comes from Allah, and that Muhammad was divinely inspired, and that Muhammad did these things. The fact that Muhammad did those things clearly shows that Muhammad was just a man of his time and his primitive culture, in which he didn't know better. I don't hate him for having done very disgusting and primitive things. What I'm simply saying is that a man who did disgusting things as people would have done in his place cannot be divinely inspired and a timeless prophet for all times.
Yeah, there's another thing I want to mention about the timeless thing, and the Quran is often portrayed as if there's no other book like it. You can't write another book like it. This is how we know it's cool. But when they put the requirement to do another book like it, well, the Bible is like it. And I would say that the Bible, even though the Bible is abysmal, until I read the Quran, the Bible was the most repugnant tome I'd ever had the misfortune to read. And the Quran is actually worse. So the Bible is like it and better than it, even though it's still bad. But they would say that it's not like the Quran because it's not exactly like the Quran. And in order to be like the Quran, it has to be, because there's no criteria for that. It's a subjective judgment. So I say the Bible is like the Quran. Other people who worship the Quran don't say that, will say that the Bible is not like it. So it has to be exactly the Quran in order to be like the Quran, in which case it's just copying the Quran.
Exactly.
If you make it any different, even if it's better, because how easy would it be to make a book the size of the Quran that is infinitely better than the Quran, but then it's not like the Quran, is it? So you still fail the challenge.
Yeah, if you look at it, I mean, I went to high school in Turkey, and at that time I was very interested in Russian literature and Persian poetry and Turkish poetry too. I was fascinated with Persian poetry. I found it beautiful. It was amazing. It was so artistically pleasing. Russian literature was a completely different thing. It is sad, depressive, but man, it gave me so much pleasure to read through it. And when I compare those two entirely different styles, those two entirely different things to the Quran, the Persian poetry is by worlds better than the poetry, than the lyrics that you find in the Quran, whereas the themes of and the narration in Russian literature is much deeper, much better than the Quran. If you look at English literature, we have Shakespeare, which is on so many levels much better than the Quran. So how do we really define what is and is not better than the Quran? If we come to reading books, we know by now that a book should probably have an index to give you a proper understanding of what you are about to read and what you are reading. We want to put books into a good order. We want a book to be consistent and not repetitive. We evaluate books by these standards. If a book is not repetitive, if it is easy to read, if it flows, if it gives you a good message, if it gives you something new and exciting on every page, if it makes you turn the pages, it is a good book. If it gives you good information, it is a good book. The Quran does none of those things. The average Muslim finds it painful to read the Quran, and they blame it on Satan. They say it is hard to read because the shaitan doesn't want you to read it, because your ego doesn't want it. It is an awful read. It is horrible to read. I'm sorry. I was a Muslim too, and I loved it. I believed in it. And I had to sit there. I had to force myself to read through it when I was at the peak of my loving religiosity, because it is a horrible book. You cannot ever say, you cannot ever present a book or write something better and say, hey, look, this is better than the Quran, so I have actually met the Quran's challenge, because that is entirely subjective. But if we want to look at some standards that we all nowadays have by common sense, then there are millions of books out there and millions of texts out there that are by far better than the Quran.
I want to give Quran credit that if it's written in Arabic, maybe it's better than in English. I mean, Shakespeare. Can you imagine Shakespeare translated into any other language? It would lose everything.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder if you're reading Russian poetry, are you reading it in Russian?
No, I didn't read Russian poetry. I only read Russian novels.
Okay.
I read Persian poetry in Turkish, but it's very close because Persian has a lot of influence on Turkish. So that was the thing. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that makes sense. But even allowing that credit, the fact is the substance of what the book says still makes no sense and is still very obviously false.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Akshay Kumar made a super chat and said, oh wait, Mike No Go Zone said, if the Quran is perfect, then why are there so many Islamic sects? I mean, exactly. That's kind of that derives also from one of the first things that we talked about today, which is the existence of tafsirs, which are exegesis by Islamic scholars, which try to tell us what the Quran actually tries to say. This is a main problem when you are a Muslim and you want to read the Quran. The first suggestion that you are given by every Muslim out there, including by the most learned Muslims, is that you should not read the Quran by yourself, but that you should consult a scholar and that you should read it with a tafsir. What does that say about the Quran, which claims to be clear and easy to read and easy to understand? It tells us that the Quran is not clear, is not easy to understand, and that people who are humans like you and me need to add their own opinions and interpretations in order for us to understand it the right way according to those people. So that is why normally with such a text that is so vague and so painful to read, we have numerous interpretations, and from those numerous interpretations, numerous sects and movements and schools come forth that disagree with each other and fight with each other.
I agree completely. And this has been a better talk than I expected it to be. Not that I had any kind of negative expectations.
Well, I'm very offended now.
This turned out better than my expectations. So I want to thank you for that. And I expected it to go well. I am going to have to bail, though, because I have a Zoom meeting in an upcoming class.
Oh, you do?
Paleoanthropology. So.
Okay, no problem. I hope we can talk again. Do you have to go right now?
Well, I have to go very, very soon.
Okay. Yeah, let's just end it then. How about I will let you go. I will thank you for joining me today. Let's make sure we talk again some other time. I will keep this going, respond to some questions, and then I will end this here.
Yep, there goes the dog. Shut up.
Oh, that's a sweet dog.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Very much. Thank you, Aron, for joining me. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Talk to you again. Bye. Okay. Yeah. Well, now I'm here by myself. I will go soon too. We were planning on doing this for 1.5 hours anyway. I don't know why I had to go earlier. But I will respond to questions and super chats quickly, and can maybe converse with everybody too while you are here and while we are here. So let me go through the super chats, and then I can quickly go through some normal chats as well. Yep. Akshay Kumar made a super chat and said, stay away from Islam. Thank you so much, Akshay. I appreciate it. Stay away from Islam, everybody. King Buddy made a super chat and said, what was your friend name, Conpop? Was that a question to Aron? Jörg Asmussen made a super sticker of this little figure that laughs. The last one made a super chat, but I don't see the message because it has been deleted. I don't know why. Yeah, it's gone. David King made a super chat and said, Aron Ra will accept the Christ soon. I highly doubt it. I wanted to ask him about something regarding Christianity, but I highly doubt it. He's a very hardcore and anti-theist. Michael David Dixon made a super chat and said, Muhammad died because a Jewish woman poisoned him. I should come to that sometime in the video. And Deborah became a member of the channel. Deborah, now? That's awesome. Thank you. I expected you to become a member much longer before this. But Deborah, thank you, and welcome to the club. Stefan Milievich, always here every time, said in a super chat, greetings to AP and Aron Ra. Aron Ra, please focus more on Islam because it threatens Christianity, Hinduism, Judaism, atheism. Stay away, stay rational and atheistic. I will let him know about that. I'll send this message to him right after this. And Guy Bout said in a super chat, AP, when will you write a book? Man, I always think if I have more time, if I can arrange things better, I will finally do that. I will finally write that book or write those books. But I have certain topics, themes prepared. I just really don't find the time to actually sit down and do that. But I have several topics in mind, and I have at least 3 books planned. And one of them is supposed to be a complete criticism and refutation of Islam and its theology, logic, and history and future. The other is my experience and an ex-Muslim perspective of Islam in the life of an ex-Muslim, in my own life in this regard. And maybe I can include stories of others too, in a way. And the other is something that I have on my mind, which is on the scientific aspects of the Quran. But these are projects that I have on my mind. I even have titles for these sought out. I just don't know when I can ever go through that and finish those books. The Lost One said in a super chat, I made a super chat in a tongue-in-cheek way about how AP and Aron are dog owners. Sorry if it was offensive. Oh, someone else censored your comment. It wasn't me. But yeah, that should be all right. Please don't censor whoever made that. And I appreciate whoever is moderator here. Thank you. But it's okay. No need to censor that stuff. Okay, subscribe to Act 17 Apologetics said, AP, does your family back in Turkey know about the police thing? Will you be able to get in touch with your family back in Turkey? Oh yeah, that stuff is going on right now for everyone who has been following my channel and the news. So Turkey, a Turkish court has issued an arrest warrant for me. I actually found this out by coincidence. I was looking up something else, and the Turkish government has this this system where you can online use some government services and look up information about yourself. And as I was there looking for something else, I suddenly had the idea to check criminal records, and there I noticed that recently a court reacted to a complaint by a citizen, and then looked into the case and started a case about me. It is the court itself that sues me on the behalf of the people because for contempt of the religious values held by a part of the population, which they only apply that to Islam. You can say whatever the hell you want about Christianity and Judaism and all the other religious groups and people and religions. Nothing is going to happen to you. But if you criticize Islam, then you are screwed. So they started that, tried to contact me, and then concluded that they do not need my prior statement. They don't need anything from me because the evidence is clear and my identity is clear. I am clearly guilty. I need to be arrested and forcibly brought in front of a court to defend myself. And the punishment for that is a fine or a jail time. So what I will probably do right now is to find a lawyer. I don't know how much that will cost. I don't know what I will have to go through. It's just a whole headache right now. I will try to find a lawyer to represent me in Turkey and to deal with that case. I definitely will not go to a Turkish embassy or to Turkey to deal with that myself in person. And we'll try to solve that situation. We'll try to make clear that my criticism of Islam was not in any way insulting. I was just commenting and making my observations and pointing out facts about Islam, about the Quran and about Muhammad. I'm not guilty of anything. The issue is that it doesn't matter to them at all, because if I offend Islamic values, then I am, by the laws of Turkey, a criminal, and I cannot wiggle myself out of this. And once we have started with this, once a court has started such a case against me, and they have picked up on what I'm doing, on what my activism and what my work consists of, then they will not stop at this. If I start defending my case here, this will escalate further into investigating everything else that I have said and done so far on my Turkish channel and on my international channel right here. And if they investigate everything that I said here, then man, I don't know how far they can go. But I am a thought criminal in Turkey, and I wasn't expecting anything better. Turkey is going down the drain with this Islamist government, but yeah, that's what it looks like right now. I know some people are telling me, make a GoFundMe, ask for help, do this and that. I have thought about that. I just don't know what I will have to deal with at the moment. So I don't want to ask for anything without knowing what I will actually have to deal with and what all of this will cost me in terms of time, effort, money, and whether I should do anything about this at all. I'm also in America at the moment, and I'm about a year away from getting my American citizenship. So I will definitely become an American citizen. That was my plan all along, ever since I came here, ever since I planned on coming here. I definitely want to throw that Turkish citizenship away and want to take an American citizenship, because honestly, I have no respect for the Turkish state. I have no respect for the Turkish country in this form. I have respect for the Turkish people, definitely, but no respect at all for the government or anything that is going on there. I don't give a crap about them, and I don't feel any belonging, any sense of belonging toward Turkey and that citizenship either. So I would throw it in the trash immediately if I could today become stateless. Even it's not even about the American citizenship. Even if today I could simply give up my Turkish citizenship without becoming the citizen of anywhere else, and if I could become stateless, I would do that right now. I don't want to carry that citizenship, but I will soon hopefully become an American citizen, and then everything will be fine again. And then I will be finally a citizen of a country in which you are not judged and tried for your simplest opinions and thoughts. I mean, how ridiculous is this, man? Turkey, supposed to be a secular modern country. What an imbecilic mentality. Anyway, I'll just get myself more in trouble right now. But I don't even care. I was even thinking of making a dedicated video. I was even thinking of making a video in which I just talk about everything that I think about Erdogan, just to double down on this. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of your dumb governments and your stupid, idiotic, backward laws, you morons. I will double down. I will double down. I don't care. I'm a human and I have my own dignity. Assholes. Götterdämmerung made a super chat. Götterdämmerung in German made a super chat and didn't say anything. I appreciate it. Seb Oz made a super chat and said, support to you and all atheists. Support to us and all humans. Let's do it. But thank you. I appreciate it, Seb Oz. Thank you so much. Harun Yilmaz said, Atatürk'e küfür etmenin suç, fakat bizim değerlerimize küfür etmenin yasak olmadığı bir ülke. That means a country in which it is punishable. It is a crime to insult Atatürk, but not a crime to insult our values. I don't think it should be a crime to insult any of those values at all. You should be able to say about Atatürk, which is the founder of Turkey, who is deified in Turkey, whatever the hell you want. You should be able to say about the Turkish state and the nation and the flag whatever you want. And you should also be able to say about the Turkish president and government and country whatever you want. This is just part of a modern society, of a society that can question, that can explore ideas, that can change things and build a better future. This is how you build the future. If you cannot criticize and ridicule values that people have. What the hell are values? If you cannot criticize those values, if you cannot ridicule them, then you cannot do anything. You cannot change anything. If Turkey wants to go into the future and wants to be a modern country, then you should be able to express your ideas, no matter how offensive they are to the average person. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Someone said it's funny how you suddenly transitioned from English to Turkish. I know it sounds very funny. İngilizceden bir anda Türkçe'ye geçmen çok iyi ya. I speak 3 languages. I'm not priding myself with that. It's just pure. It's just the way things went. I was born in Germany into a Turkish family and was very interested in English. And now I'm in America, which is why I speak these 3 languages fluently, which is why I make mistakes in all of these 3 languages. That's the downside of it. Yeah. And here's a German comment. See, Paul Dogme just made a super chat and said, "Hey AP, hast du schon das Lied Komm zum Islam gehört? Have you heard the song Come to Islam? Do you mean the parody made by Saiten and translated into German? If you mean that, yes, I have. If you mean something positive for Islam, then no, I have not." Hindu historian said, "You are more literate than Allah." Exactly. I speak 3 languages. Allah only speaks Arabic. Yeah, stuck on that, Allah. Sir Sanity now made a super chat and said, "Have you seen Crowd and T's history on Turkey video?" I have not, no. I could check that out sometime. I'll look into that, Sir Sanity now. I appreciate it. X-Born again made a super chat and didn't say anything. Sunish Jacob made a super chat and didn't say anything, but thank you. Paul Dog made a super chat and didn't say anything again. Thank you. Bijeli Lopoch said, "Allah is shook." Okay, I should leave soon. This was just supposed to be a conversation between me and Aron Ra. I didn't expect to actually sit here and have a whole Q&A and all that stuff. Actually, I really enjoy being here, but I don't want to take an Aron Ra stream and make it into my stream. But okay, come on, I'll be here for another few minutes. So, yeah. So the whole stuff with Turkey is going on right now. Well, another thing that is happening, which I have recently announced, by the way, Nadaverse, who is my moderator here, just said that the comment that she censored earlier was not very well conveyed. So she thought it was just an offensive remark about us, which is why she censored it. I get it. Thank you, both of you. Another thing that is going on right now is that I'm actually expecting, my wife and I, we are expecting a baby. I have announced that a few days ago when I was live with David Wood. I may make a separate video on that just to announce that we are currently expecting this, a new life, a change that is happening. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. And I don't know how much my productivity will be affected by that right now. I may be a little bit more absent than I usually am. I guess that's why I'm trying to be kind of very productive right now and post as many updates as possible. Although we are planning, David Wood and I are planning to upload some simultaneous videos on Friday. But yeah, we are expecting a baby, a little boy, a son, and he will be born these days, this week or next week, and then we will be busy. It'll be very nice. Yasmin Mohammed, is that you? She's here, and she just made faces with hearts. Hey, I had no idea you were here. I had no idea you were listening. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really like Yasmin Mohammed and her work, what she does. She's a very relatable former Muslim from my perspective. I can relate to her very much and her struggle and her approach, her past. Yeah, Halloween birth. Baby AP, please name your son David. No, I can't do that. We have some names in our minds, but we have not decided yet, and I do not know what we will eventually decide upon. but we have some different languages and names in our minds. We'll see that. I will update everybody once the birth happens. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. Yeah, someone said, how about Ender Elohim said, how about Dawood? Seb Oz said, Apostate Prophet, is this your first child? No, it's actually my second child. I have a son already who is 3 years old. And now I'm getting a second son, another boy. So I will then have two little boys, 2 kids. Yeah, that will be the case. I will be busy raising 2 little boys. Subscribe to Act 17 Apologetics said, name him Emmanuel Macron. No. Paul Dog made another super chat and said, can you please do a video about marital rape in Islam? I made a video about that quite a while ago. I didn't make a video specifically about that, but I included it in a video that I called Muhammad's RAPE culture. Maybe I could make a dedicated video on that soon. I'm currently working on more scriptural aspects of Islam and preparing some videos about those. People keep saying, congratulations, AP. Thank you so much. Seb Vera Pendiala, thank you so much. Winter Wine said, you have gained some weight. I'm aware. But thank you so much. Nicola Rankovi, I don't know how to exactly pronounce that, but said, how old are you? I'm 29. Right? I sometimes forget my age. I don't know. I think I'm 29. Pranjal Roy said, AP, please don't give your baby an Islamic name. Are you kidding me? Of course I'm not going to do that. I joke with my wife sometimes about Islamic names, but that's never going to happen. Zata Balaba made a super chat of 10 Canadian dollars and said, you are assuring a brighter future for humanity. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's all in your perspective. I'm trying my best to share what I think is my own truth and what matters to me. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Majestic Beck said, here is some bail money for you. I don't think I'll need bail money. I just need a good lawyer to represent me. And if they convict me for something, they can just stuff it. I'm not going to deal with that. But I appreciate it. Thank you, Majestic P. Beck. Majestic P. 12 BKL My Shoe made a super chat and said, time to takfir Erdogan. Look how he shaves and wears the clothes of the Europeans. I find it so funny, man. I should make a video in which I just show, or in which I just discuss what kinds of Muslims Turks are and what kinds of Muslims the Erdogan government are. Because there are many Muslims in the world out there who are fundamentalist, traditionalist Muslims who kind of find pride in Turkey and Erdogan right now. But from their perspective, Erdogan's government is not really a good Muslim government. They are heretics. Turkish religious Muslims are very often Sufi Muslims or people who gravitate towards Sufi Islam, which traditionalists consider haram, shirk, blasphemy. They consider them grave worshippers because the Sufi Muslims pay respect to dead imams in the past, to sheikhs in the past. The Sufi Muslims also, for example, believe that Allah is not above the heavens or outside of his creation, but that Allah is actually within everything or everywhere. And that is considered complete blasphemy in Islam. They have many other such beliefs that traditionalist Muslims completely disagree with, and based on which they judge the Sufis as heretics, as infidels, non-Muslims that deserve to be punished and persecuted. So these Muslims are definitely not the same kinds of Muslims. Yeah. That's an interesting aspect to discuss. Roxolana Thor made a super sticker and said, cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Don't forget to like this stream if you want to like this stream, if you want to contribute to the algorithms of this channel and whether you like or dislike actually just counts as an interaction, which pushes the channel and its videos. So that's the funny thing, when millions of people came, or hundreds of thousands of people came and all together disliked gave my channel more interactions and to push my video. What they should have done was to just ignore my video. Okay. Andrew Elohim said, well, they told NL Haq and pay for it after all. Yeah, there was that's an interesting incident. I would love to talk about that sometime if I ever get into discussing the history of Islam and Sufi Islam. There was a Sufi Muslim figure who was very much respected among Sufi Muslims, called Hallaj Mansur. He was brutally executed, brutally killed in the past under the caliphates, because he was a mysticist Muslim who believed that Allah is everywhere and within everything, including within the people themselves, within their bodies. And one day he stood there and he believed in this. Sufi Muslims believe in this, in the annihilation of the self, in this complete selflessness, into losing your ego entirely and becoming one with Allah. It's kind of like, it totally sounds like a dharmic, like an Indian or Buddhist, Hindu approach to religion. And that guy considered Allah to be everywhere, and he was asserting that he is denying himself and his own existence entirely, and that he does not exist and only Allah exists. I am nothing, only Allah is there. And so he said these words, An al-Haq, in Arabic, which means I am the truth, or I am Allah. In Sufi teachings, what he meant was that he is nothing. He does not exist. He has exterminated himself entirely. He is nothing. He does not exist. There is only Allah. But in the rigid traditionalist Islamic aspect, he has committed blasphemy by calling himself Allah, or by calling himself, by asserting that Allah is within him. Nur Ahmed Sabir said, sounds like good weed. Exactly. And he was therefore brutally executed. I don't know how much I remember what is and is not true about his execution, but I think they executed him in such brutal ways, in such graphic ways, that I could not even describe it here, including working on his skin and burning him and dragging him through the streets and stuff like that. I don't know. It's crazy, man. And I used to be a Sufi Muslim for a brief time in the past. Yeah, interesting stuff. Okay, I will leave. I think I want to work on one more video before I end the day today. Kashmiri Pandit said, any special plans for Propmo's birthday? No. Angel Joseph said, your video is behind sound. I think the stream got a little bit desynchronized. Something just happened. I don't know what the hell happened. But yeah. Okay, I'm leaving. Have a fantastic day. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I may increase these live streams in the coming weeks, because I may not be able to have enough time to prepare videos because of the little child that we are expecting. And then we can converse a lot. I will update you on both the Turkey case and on the child. Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic day. And as usual, stay away from Islam. I can never stop talking. What the hell, man? Why am I doing this to myself? Anyway, have a good day. Stay away from Islam.